Reddit. Ask me anything. I'm a almost 7 years clean drug addict. Ask me anything. Congratulations on 7 years sober. What has been your biggest hurdle to overcome? Legit. Stopping and avoid cravings at the start. Alcoholic here. Was the first year hardest for you? I still have using dreams and cravings. In treatment at the moment. It's good you are in treatment. It is normal in first year. Remember, you have spent whatever amount of life is one. That's something your body is used to, you're used to, etc. Just listen to pros, etc. Eventually if you put in the effort, in time, it comes easier. What was your drug of choice? Heroin. 7 years clean is huge, much respect. I'm a substance abuse counselor. From your perspective, what are some things that make a good counselor? I'm just getting started out, kind of learning the ropes. I work at a methadone clinic and love it for the most part. I also have 7 years clean, heroin, cocaine, and benzos, and this is an important question. Give compliments and recognize the person's strengths. Build them up. The addict should be pretty familiar with the mistakes they've made, and I personally have never seen much benefit in rehashing them. There are a lot of insecurities coming out of an addiction, and those insecurities need to be avoided, responsibly and obviously not always, because they can trigger a relapse. That feeling of I'm just a failure / screw up always will be, so what's the point of being sober and having to feel that all the time? Is highlighted. On a related note, one thing that really helped me stay sober was realizing how stifled my potential was while using. I've heard so many addicts, especially meth addicts, try to convince themselves that they are somehow smarter and more effective humans while on drugs. But once I got a good 3 months under my belt, the lucidity I felt was the best feeling ever and helped keep me clean. That being said, some addicts might need certain prescription drugs to manage their symptoms like Suboxone or anxiety meds, and they shouldn't be shamed for needing those things on the short term to get over the withdrawals. I had one counselor who used her smoking habit to relate to my struggles with addiction. I couldn't take her very seriously and pretty much wrote her off. So I don't know if you've ever been through something similar, but trying too hard to relate can be detrimental in some scenarios because your client might not take you seriously. It's about them anyway. I've also had a therapist share too much about himself, but it should be the client taking 90% of the time. Research resources and advocate for your client. Write letters of recommendation to schools, employers, doctors / therapists / psychiatrists. Also recognize that it might take them a while to get back into having a regular job, finding housing, etc. So don't make them feel guilty for needing some time. The thing is, your job is very tricky. I've closed myself off to, or dropped so many counselors and sponsors, because I had anxiety around them. The anxiety usually stemmed from situations where I felt misunderstood or defensive. So compliments, support, advocacy, understanding and feeling heard, things like that are really important. It's early, so I hope that all made sense, but if you have any more questions I'm happy to answer. Have you ever overdosed? Yes, 3 times. My best friend is suffering really badly with a drug addiction and has been for nearly 10 years now. His family has done everything. Sent him off to tons of rehabs, spent thousands and thousands of dollars. He's been to jail, he goes to 12-step, and he still relapses again and again. Now he's facing prison time if he fucks up again, and he told me he just smoked crack a couple days ago. Like, what the fuck? It is honestly the most frustrating thing in the world. I know it's a disease, but fuck, when he's using, does he just turn into a selfish fucking prick? And when he's clean, he gets it. He understands he has a problem and knows he needs to stay clean. He works the program, but he always gives in to the cravings. So here are my questions. 1. How long did you struggle before getting so much clean time? 2. What actually worked for you to get clean? His drug of choice is meth, if that makes a difference. He's gay. I guess that's kind of the thing in the gay community. His shit is his, no one can fix him besides himself. Gays can party. They can party good and often have the best drugs. MB. I juice go to Al-Anon. His family too. Ask docs, rehabs for advice. etc and other recovery addicts maybe detach. Slowly stop enabling. Like if supporting him with money, he'll have to some sort of rock bottom. Or get to his awareness and put in the work himself. To not to replace. I understand you and our anger, resentment. I just copped it on the chin. Grew up live with my own shame and followed through. Both easy and hard. Is there any movie that helped you, like The Basketball Diaries or something similar? Well, no Pacific Move. At first I was lost for time, so used to be shit-faced on something, recoverying from the session, or working to get the junk. So at first, slept a lot, played video games and watched movies. Congratulations, keep it up. Did you ever use hospitals as your source for drugs? No, I haven't. I stole shit or money to afford, sometimes manipulated the dealer. Or if I was good enough to do so, I worked and spent all my money on the junk. What is your stance on decriminalization of not only weed but all drugs? And what was/is the role of 12-step programs in your recovery? Of course not everyone has their issues with narcotics and drinking. I just happen to be the person who has issues with it. Sure, weed can do a lot for a person, whether it be for a new Canicula CXP, to help with serious pain, and of course, I'm sure there's drugs that can unlock stuff in the mind. If you can use it for leisure, go for it, or if it's something for high purposes, go for it. Just not for people who have issues with addiction, or assholes who ruin it for everyone else. What caused you to begin your addiction, and what caused you to stop? To begin, teenager at parties it slowly progressed. To stop, I was junkie, in a slow self-acceptance to who I became. What was the hardest drug to get off? Surprising or not, cigarettes are so far the hardest thing to quit. I'm trying to quit nicotine right now, been snoozing pouch of nicotine in Sweden for a long time. Will the cravings ever stop? Because I get anxiety over the thought that I'll never get that kick again. Any good tips that I could use along the way? Dude, smokes are sucking hard. Find other methods if yours aren't work, or if not, endure that shit till you quit, and of course, don't quit trying to quit smoking. I feel that pain. Did you ever have trouble with the law enforcement agencies? Yep, I'm Australian, to which I should be sleeping now, but been arrested so many times. Assault, public nuisance, stealing, etc. So CLS to jail. But a lot of fines though. But if you're homeless, at least here, you'll more likely get a slap on the wrist and put in a homeless shelter here. How much has your social circle changed? Bloody oath it did. I became junkie, so naturally, my friends were junkies, dealers, drunks, or just in general no good people. I'm a gay man who struggled with fourth meth addiction for years. I got off of it over 15 years ago. I couldn't quit until things got so bad that I genuinely didn't want it anymore. Telling myself that I needed to quit, that it was killing me, etc meant nothing, as long as I still enjoyed meth. I'm not going to lie, it's fucking amazing. But the cost is too high, and I don't mean money. I think when it comes to getting off meth for gay men, you really need to drop out of the entire gay party scene if you're going to stand a chance. Meth is so rampant at every gay bar or event that you just have to not go anymore at all, and not even talk to people who are in that scene. In 2019, that's a lot easier to do as gays are finally getting more mainstream, settling down, moving to the suburbs, etc. We tend to think that the gay scene is at the heart of being a gay person, but it isn't. It's a relic, a shadowy place that gays used to have to go to in order to be themselves. We don't need to go to some dark bar anymore to be ourselves, so the scene isn't even necessary anymore for a gay person to find a place to fit in.